Okay, well, we are underway. Thank you, everybody, for being here right on time and letting us get off to a good start. We have got a few more people registered coming in, and they'll no doubt come in as they can. We are recording this so that people can listen back later on in the next few days if they would like to catch up. And Michael's also in the background listening in. He's got the full list of questions that have been submitted, and he's monitoring Facebook for questions that come through there. And I think the intention is to send some notes out with responses to everybody's questions and any new questions that come up through the evening. Just again, just a sort of reminder around the sound. These webinars are great when everybody's got headphones and microphones, but if we have everybody turned on at once and we have just sort of laptop type speakers, then we get a bit much feedback. So we're going to keep people's mics turned off, but if you put your hand up, there's a little raise your hand bar there. I'll turn your mic on so you can ask a question of Mona or the other Andrew. There's a little chat box down to the right, which you can ask questions and comments coming through. If at any point you can't hear or you've got a specific question that you'd like to ask, go through there, and also through the Facebook group that Michael is monitoring. So it's a couple of avenues there. This is the briefing. I think we all know that. That's why we're here. I'm Andrew O'Brien. I'm going to shut up and get out of the way in a moment and leave it to Murray Ma and Andrew Cohen. Andrew Cohen has just arrived, so it takes a moment or two for his sort of sound and all to kick in, but welcome, Andrew Cohen. Glad you could join us as well. And we might, Murray Ma, just before I launch into you, just check that Andrew's voice works. Okay, good on you, mate. Thanks for joining us. We just started on the explaining the questions and things, so your timing is perfect. So on that note, we've mentioned the chat box, we've mentioned the things. Our agenda is basically do a bit of introduction. Murray Ma will make some opening comments and then work through the concerns, tips, and the questions I think that have been asked in advance, and then open it up for any other questions which we haven't covered as we go through. So that's pretty much the run through. In terms of time, I don't think we've got a sort of too much of an upper limit. We want to really make sure that we answer everybody's questions, but I would be optimistic that probably no more than an hour, just depending on the questions. And I do have another webinar with the Malaysian Marathon people at 11, so can't go all night, I'm afraid. So Murray Ma, without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to you and just tell me when you want me to change slides, and if you've got any questions from my point. Otherwise, I'll just slink into the background and enjoy the evening.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Hi, everybody. Some of you have met me, some of you have not. However, you haven't, you will, I guess, meet me at MDS in Wazirzat, and yeah. That would be great to meet you all, all of you. Before I say much, I would firstly like to say a very big thank you to Andrew Cohen. He's contributed a great deal to Facebook, and I'm sure you all agree with that. You know, Andrew Cohen has run. Andrew, tell me if I'm wrong. Is it 3 or 4 MDSs?
3.
3, yeah, and you know, a lot of other multi-stage races around the world and ultra marathons, and thank you so much. You've taken a huge load off my shoulders, that's for sure. So yeah, but anyway, today is the day to, I guess, to relook at you know, our concerns, and I'm sure what happens in the last week, everybody gets a bit stressed, a bit anxious, and everybody's got last-minute questions, which they probably had not thought of before. But I'm here, and Andrew Cohen's here to hopefully put you all at ease. It's no big deal, really. I think it's just all nervous energy, which is very normal. So, okay, so Andrew, I'll pass it on to you. You can talk a bit about yourself.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Good heavens. I wasn't, didn't count on that.
I mean, everybody probably knows what you're like, but some people I think on this show are not, on this webinar, don't actually know you as yet. So just give them a brief overview of what you've done. And
I think the slide says pretty much all of it. I'll just think what else is on there. I mean, there's not a great deal of interest. I mean, I suppose the most interesting thing for people worrying about what's going to happen when they get to Morocco is if you went further into my running history, you would find that it's not particularly glorious. Um, before I went to MDS the first time, I think my best marathon time was about 3:10 thereabouts. Nothing would have suggested that I would have ended up 32nd out of 800 and what have you, running quite frequently with sub 9-hour Ironman competitors and 2.5-hour marathoners. But it's that sort of race. It's going to teach you, if nothing else, that there isn't just one sort of running. You can go there with any number of expectations, but until you've done it at least once, you're probably going to have the wrong idea of where you'll finish up. So the best plan is to ignore your record to date, ignore everyone else's record, because you're going to look around on the start line and see all these remarkably fit-looking people, but 2 stages into it, they'll all be lining up at the doctor's tent, and you'll probably be sitting back having a good time.
That's yeah, it's very wise and very good tips, Andrew. Okay, so let's move on, Andrew. Yep. Okay, look, I'm just going to give you a very brief outline of the itinerary. I'm not sure if you all, I think you've read your itineraries, but just to be certain, there's been a few changes, as you know, especially on the last stage. I don't know, maybe it's the French being the French, but they like to change things at the last minute, and we don't actually get to know. Sometimes we don't know any more than you guys do, but you know, I'm trying to get as much information, not just from the race organisers, but also from the sales reps from the UK and also from the US, who have done this many times, much more times than I have. They've been selling these events for many years, and look, I think I've got a good idea of what's going on now. So basically, on the 5th of April, we're going to be having breakfast. Now, we're all staying at the Asgore Hotel, and we'll be having breakfast that morning. The 5th of April is the Friday, and the bus will depart from the hotel. Now, this is new. This has just come in. It will depart at 8:15 a.m. from the hotel. Don't worry, you don't have to panic about this. We'll put it on Facebook and we'll send you all an email. But there will be 2 buses for the Australian group, and I think there's another group in that particular hotel. So we'll all be rounding up at probably about 8 o'clock at the latest outside that hotel. You will be assigned to your tent. To be quite honest, I was hoping that we would be doing this before we leave Australia. However, I haven't received this information as yet. Again, I think it's the French being the French. They like to leave everything to the last minute. You know, ideally, I would like to assign everybody to the tents before we depart Australia. But look, it might happen once we're there, and that's okay. It will work out, I'm sure. Anyway, so on Saturday, 6th of April, there's going to be, on the 5th of April, so the bus departs and gets to gets to the bivouacs, and once there you will be fed. Somebody did ask a question about what the food is like. Personally, I thought the food was great. You know, they even give you a beer and wine if you choose to take that. I drank a glass of red wine both Friday and the Saturday night to calm my nerves, and it definitely worked, and it helped me sleep well. And the food was nice. Look, I know some people are gluten-free. From memory, there were options for those who are gluten intolerant. And then on Saturday the 6th, so that's when we wake up, everybody starts to panic because it's time to check in your luggage that you may never see again for the next 7 days. So you've got to make sure that you have packed everything you want by that day. The administration, the medical, and the technical formalities take place. Please remember to take the 200 euros with you. They have to be with you the whole 7 days. Otherwise, you will be, I believe, it's not disqualified, but you get a penalty. If it's not 200 euros, make sure it's equivalent to 200 euros, which could be, I think, roughly about 350 Australian. I'd have to do the sums. And yeah, and on that particular day, they don't really check all your, I mean, I don't know about you, Andrew, but when I did it last year, they weren't very picky about what you had in your bag. I gave them a list of all my food the food that I had on a per day basis. The best thing you can do with that, with that list is write down what you've basically what you're eating per day. Just break the foods down, the calories, write down the calories next to it, and at the end of every day write down the total calories. So there should be a minimum of 2,000 calories there. Some people are saying, is 2,000 enough? Just to let you know, I'm not very tall. I'm only 5 foot nothing, and I weigh about just over 50 kilos. So I'm quite a small, petite person. 2,000 calories was just enough for me. So if you're bigger than that, yeah, you are going to need more than those calories. So definitely 2,000 is an absolute minimum, which is a requirement anyway. And so that's yeah. So anyway, so what I was saying, so once they don't check everything in detail, but what they do is they randomly do check your bag after each stage. So they will check. If you say you've been out there for the longest 8 hours, it doesn't matter how tired or how bright you look, they will pull you aside and they will check every single thing you have in that bag. So they're very strict in that respect. So don't think that because on registration day you got away with it, it means nothing. So that's on the Saturday. That Saturday you get fed again, and on the Sunday morning, that's when you become self-sufficient. From Sunday morning breakfast up until, and this is what everybody's asking, this is going to be up until basically your food that you will take with you on the marathon day, which is day 6. Is that right, Andrew? Day 6. Yep. Yes, day 6. So it's lunchtime. So from Sunday morning up until what day is it? The 12th of April. Yeah, Friday, the 12th of April, lunchtime. And then that night, dinner will be provided, and also there will be a concert on, which happens every year. They put on a concert anyway, but dinner will be provided. And I do believe the next morning they will also provide breakfast. I say I believe that, but nothing's been written down. I'm just assuming that's going to happen. However, I do suggest you do bring with you maybe some breakfast just in case. I would also bring some snacks during the 7K stage, and then that evening obviously you will be fed, and you will also be given a lunchbox on the bus back to Waziza, to your hotel. So I hope that I've made that fairly clear. Again, we'll put that on Facebook, and we'll also send that to everybody via email. Okay, so what happens next? So on the Saturday, the 13th of April, that's the race. That's the last stage. Now this is a 7-kilometer charity stage. People have been, and Andrew, I think you can back me up on this. People have been saying, oh, it's no longer the toughest race on earth. We're going to have to walk it. It's not even timed. What's going on? Andrew, I spoke to you a few days ago, and you said to me, because he was saying, oh, it's no longer going to be 250 kilometres. But the fact is, Andrew, am I correct in saying that, sometimes it's only 220 kilometres maximum, or 230?
Yeah, 2007 was 221. 2009, which was the year it was flooded, was 2016. I mean, to be honest, look, I mean, it's never been. Let's be quite frank about it. It's never been the toughest foot race in the world. It's damn tough. There's no question about it. Anyone who finishes can be very proud of themselves. But whether it's 223 or 230 or 250 is not going to make a great deal of difference, because you're going to do in 5 stages pretty much the same as has been done in 5 stages, or maybe even 6 stages in the past. So it's going to be comparable to any other year that's been. And the last stage has always been, to be honest, from my point of view and from the point of view of quite a number of the other competitors, a bit of a pest.
I agree.
No positions have really changed. It hasn't made any impact on the overall standings in the general classification. It's unlike the rest of the race, because it's quite short, tends to be a bit of a sprint. Frankly, not a lot of fun. I'm actually, I think what they've done is good, because we never in the past really had that opportunity to take a long, slow walk through the dunes, which I think is a fantastic way to finish it off. You will have done a really tough race to get 223 or 230, whatever the actual number is, in the first 5 stages. You will have seen some really great parts of the Sahara. You will have probably experienced some temperatures you've never experienced before, and it will be certainly not looked upon as an easy event just because the last stage becomes a bit of a tourist venture. I think it actually mixes the best of both worlds, gives you a chance of a really tough race, fantastic experience of that race, and also a fantastic experience of the desert for the last 7 kilometres. I'd actually, love to be going back and doing it again.
Oh, don't worry, Andrew, you will one day. Look, and look, everything Andrew said is totally correct. I mean, I have only done it once, and I'll be honest with you, the last stage for me, was a real downer. It was an anticlimax. You got to the finish, and yeah, basically you got the medal, which was great, and it was like bang, straight onto the buses and off you go, and it was like, oh, what was all that about? I just found the other stages a lot more exciting. It was just it was a nothing day, and I think this is going to add excitement to the event. And obviously, they're giving this a go. They're hoping that it will work, and if it doesn't, they'll change it again. But I think that this will make a huge or a positive change to the event. Anything else you want to add to that bit, Andrew, before I go on?
No, I mean, I just view it as a positive. I know there was a bit of disquiet on the forum on Facebook, people feeling a bit cheated or let down, or that the prestige of the race would be undermined. I don't think any of that will occur. And if you're looking to finish this with a really great experience, and take the right attitude to it, enjoy it, and you'll get out of it at least as much as we got in the past when the last stage was a race.
No, exactly. And probably, Andrew, you agree with me also, like, you're halfway through the race and you're doing one of the most challenging parts of the whole 7 days, and you're going to wish it was cut back a bit, because it does get very, it does get very tough out there, and the heat is absolutely extreme. So look, don't you worry, it is going to be tough. There is no question about that, and the race organisers don't, they're not going to make it easy for you. That's not their intention. So yeah, you will enjoy it out there. Okay, so moving on, the Saturday the 14th of April is going to be a rest day, so we're back in Ouazzazate. Some people are actually leaving that day. Those that are leaving that day will need to make their own way back to the airport. The airport's only, look, I can't remember, 5 to 10 minute drive. It's very close. You could even run it if you wanted to. So yeah, and the people that are departing on Sunday the 15th of April, most people are departing early in the morning. I think there's 2 different flights, about 15-minute difference. Everybody will be on the same bus. Again, I need to confirm this once in Ouazzazate. I haven't been given the final details. So yes, I believe there is a bus that will be organised for the Australian group from the hotel to the airport. Now, the hotel that we are staying at after MDS is still unknown. That won't surprise you. However, we may not find out until after the marathon race, which is what happened last year. So look, it's no big deal. It'll be fine. There was one hotel which I did not want our group to be in again, and I think they listened to us, and we've voiced our opinion on that particular hotel. So hopefully they'll put us somewhere nicer this year. But look, at the end of the day, it was clean and it was fine. The only thing you've got to put up with, I guess, is the smoking. People in in Morocco do like to smoke, so, and I think we're not going to be able to escape that. But yes, so other than that, that's the itinerary, and then people just go off and do their own thing, I guess. People were asking about sightseeing in Ouazzazate. Not a lot. I don't know about you, Andrew. Did you see much in Ouazzazate?
No. I mean, there's a few places to go outside, but in town there's not a great deal.
In town, no. I mean, there is the Hollywood setup, but I haven't been there. But no, in Ouazzazate itself, there's not much there. But there are day trips that you can do out of Ouazzazate for sure. Okay, so
have you been through all the details of the bus back into Ouazzazate at the end and collecting luggage and what have you?
No, I haven't. But you can do that, Andrew.
Well, what happens is on the Saturday of the technical checks, you hand in the bag with the gear that you're not taking with you. So the first night in camp, you make your final decision as to how cold you think you're going to be, whether you need a sleeping mat, whatever. And whatever you don't want, you put in your travel bag, your spare bag. One aside before we follow that one through is a lot of people will then, from the point that they close up their spare bag, will be wearing their race gear. I never did that, and to be honest, I think the longer you can stay in comfortable clothes, like an old pair of tracky pants and a t-shirt, the better. So I always took a really old pair of track pants and t-shirt and an old pair of shoes to wear on the Saturday afternoon and Saturday night and Sunday morning until I got changed into my race gear, and then just left them in a pile next to the garbage bag, which is all that's left when your tent gets taken away. And the Berbers are really grateful. So it's a win-win. You know, you get to spend one more comfortable night and one less night having to wear your race gear, and the Berbers get a free pair of track pants and a t-shirt. So anyhow, you hand your bag in, and then that will disappear on the back of a huge truck, and you won't see it until the Saturday afternoon when the buses arrive back in Ouazzazate. They generally have all the bags either in a vacant block on a street corner with a chain link fence around it, or in the ground floor of one of the larger hotels, and it's an absolute rabble. So as with so many things, there's a lot of waiting, and the best you can do is smile and wave, be polite. Everyone else is just as hungry and tired and dirty as you are. So let them be ruder than you. And eventually you get to the front, and they'll see your race bib, and they'll find your number, which will have been attached to your bag, and they'll hand you your bag. The place where you collect your luggage is typically within easy walking distance of wherever your hotel is. They try to find a very central location. So then you just grab your bag. You will know where your hotel is by that stage. They put up a board after the marathon stage which tells you what hotel you're at and who you're sharing with. They're always on a twin share basis. And you then just front up at the hotel and give them your name, and the hotel front desk will give you a key and what have you, and you're off to your room, and you toss to see who goes in the shower first.
Yes, and see all the black water running down the down the drain. Nice. No, that's great. Well, thanks, Andrew. That's really good. Okay. One thing I want to mention just quickly. I've noticed that some people, like the Italians, they brought on the first 2 days out at the bivouac because you know, they could take as much stuff as they can until they hand everything in on the Saturday. They actually brought just really comfortable pillows and you know, really comfortable mattresses and whatnot, and they brought out deck chairs and you name it, just so that they could be a bit more comfortable those 2 days prior to race day. For me, well, I didn't really care. At the end of the day, you're going to have to put up with it anyway. So yeah, but it's up to you. It's just that opportunity. If you want to, you can bring more comfortable things to take with you. But yeah, that's your call, and then hand it in, obviously, at registration or at administration. Okay, mandatory equipment. Yeah, so this is a list of all the mandatory equipment. You've all probably seen this before many a times. There's just a few things I will mention. With the lighter, just be sure don't bring a lighter from home. Either check in or, you know, carry on. They're not going to take it, obviously, being in a flammable. Being flammable. So the best thing you can do is when we get to Ouazzazate, I can show you there's markets there, and you can easily buy them there, no problem. And the other thing was that came up was the tropical, or they call it, it's really supposed to be topical disinfectant. And what should we or should we not bring? Look, I don't know about you, Andrew, but I brought a betadine, and that was fine. And I don't know, maybe Greg, being a pharmacist, would know better than anybody else. I mean, one person asked about, can you bring it as a powder form? Look, to be quite honest, I'm not sure, and I don't even know if it is a topical disinfectant. The other one was free as balm. Again, I don't know. All I know is that I've taken betadine, and that was fine. So
the usual one that the one I always took, and I think Jay from Dream Chasers always recommended it, something similar, was just alcohol swabs or betadine swabs rather than a bottle of betadine.
Yeah.
You just take
Yeah.
little patches, and they're fantastic. You know, if you want to clean your feet in the evening, you just use one of those. The other thing that isn't actually on the mandatory equipment list but should be for your own well-being is just some isopropyl alcohol as a hand wash. So something like Aquium or Purell or Dettol, one of those gels. You only need to take about 15 ml, a couple of drops every time after you've used the latrines. Probably saves more people from health problems than anything else.
Yep.
So, Mo, one of the questions that's come through in the panel there is, are you just able to say what the distances are each day or what they're likely to be?
Yeah. Sure, we have no idea. Basically, look, nobody knows. It's one of these things. Every year the race changes. The race does not follow the same course every year. As Andrew Cohen mentioned earlier, you know, one year he did 220, and the longest stage, the longest event that ever recorded was about 251. So no one knows, but you can be guaranteed that it'll be between, say, maybe 220 and 240, for example, this year. And what the length of each day is going to be, again, who knows? The reason why they keep it very secretive, obviously they don't want the locals to find out even where the course is. They don't want them to train on the course, and this is quite, I don't know, this is something that the MDSs or the race organisers have always sort of stuck by, and I guess it makes it a bit more exciting as well. So irrespective of the distance, it's going to be tough. So yeah, just assume that, you know, I don't know about you, Andrew, but the first 3 days, for example, last year was anything between 32 and 38 kilometres. And then the following day, the following day was the long stage, obviously, which can be anywhere between, say, 80 to 90 kilometres. And then the last stage, obviously, is going to be that the charity walk at 7 kilometres. Oh, sorry.
You've got a marathon in the middle.
Stage. That's right. And a marathon after the long stage, correct. So with the long stage,
I mean, I have 1 year when I was there, we had a 43-kilometre stage in the first 3. So I think the shortest stage I've ever had is about a 28, and the longest outside of the long stage and the marathon stage was a 43. So it'll be in that range. I'd say you could count on the first 3 stages being probably between 30 and 43. Then you'll get, well, I'd say possibly as short, if that's the right word, 75 to 90 on the long stage, and then obviously 42.2 for the marathon.
So, Andrew, another question that's come through is just if you could just talk a bit about the toilet facilities at night.
Well, they have improved greatly since I was there, so maybe Murray Ma's the better one, because my experience is far cruder than what they have now.
Yeah, well, you know, fair enough too. More females are running this damn race. They should be cleaner. But anyway, what they do is now, I don't know really how to describe it, but they're basically, obviously they're like tents that they set up, and each tent obviously has its individual cubicles. And what you do is it's basically it's kind of a toilet seat, but it's like a little structure. And what you do is they give you like a plastic bag, and you put the plastic bag inside this inside the hole, and you sort of obviously I guess, I don't know what you call it. It's like putting a plastic bag on a rubbish bin. So you sit down, you do your bit, you get up, you get the plastic bag and you tie it up as if you were, you know, going to throw away the rubbish. And then there's a bin outside, and you just ditch it in the bin, and the next person comes in, and it's voila. There's no well, should I say, crap in there. So it is quite clean. Obviously, do take your what is it, the gel, what's it called, Andrew, the sanitizer.
Alcohol.
Yes, definitely take that. Must use that, because some people get really sick, obviously, from not washing their hands. So yeah, they're really clean. And for the females, they introduced it for the first time last year. We do have, well, if you can call it a shower, it's not really a shower. It's just, again, another single tent, and you go in there, and you can just, they give you, obviously, the bottles of water that they give you. You can use one of those waters just to wash yourself down, and you know, it's a bit of a private privacy, I guess, because you have your, you can actually take your clothes off and put your clean clothes back on, or put your clean clothes on, and not have to worry about who's looking. So they did it more for, obviously, and also for privacy reasons. And obviously the local men, I don't think they particularly liked women naked. Some women didn't really care, so I think they had to put this sort of thing in place. But no, it's quite good, and it was great to actually be able to wash down after a big day out there.
And I just one more that's come through before you go on to the pre-asked questions, and this one was related to salt tablets. Are you able to decline the salt tablets they provide if you have your own, and is there a minimum?
Well,
you can decline. Well, what you do is you take them and throw them away.
Okay.
But
if you've got your own, because no one's ever really been told what's in their salt tablets. As best anyone can tell, they're the equivalent of what we've got out here called toppin, which is just straight salt. So if you've taken something like Endurolites with you, or Salt Stick, or one of those electrolyte tablets which has calcium and potassium and magnesium and chloride and what have you in it, then take one of those and throw the organisers ones in the bin.
But you still have to have some, though, don't you? Because it's part of the it's compulsory, isn't it? It's part of the.
I've never actually seen it being. I mean, you're a bit silly if you don't take something. Put it that way.
Yeah.
So for your own safety, it's a good idea to have something, but you're better off taking your own than using what the organisers hand out.
Yeah. I mean, with me last year, the first day, I was actually very crook to the point that, I thought to myself, how am I going to continue this race, which is obviously quite upsetting. And the first thing they asked me was, have you taken your salt tablets? And I said, well, no, I haven't. I'm not used to salt tablets, and I prefer not to take them just in case they make me sick. And, of course, they were looking at me going, well, you are sick, so why don't you take them anyway? And I thought, well, fair enough. So I did take them. And I thought, at the end of the day, it's not going to make me any worse because I was pretty sick anyway. And I took them, and, it was fine. And, I don't know whether they did me any, they didn't do me any harm, put it that way, because I didn't feel any worse. And actually I did get better. So I did take them, but then it's only because I've never taken salt tablets in my life. So so that's for people, I guess, who don't really understand much about salt tablets, which is me.
Okay, we might hold the questions for a moment and let you get on to the
just very quickly, as with so many things with the French organisers, if they offer you something which isn't compulsory, such as their salt tablet, it's best just to take it and don't argue with them. Don't sort of say, oh, no, I've got my own, because then they'll start asking other questions. Just take it and walk away, sort of smile at them nicely, and then go back to your tent and then decide whether you want to keep them or throw them in the bin.
Yeah, very wise. Okay, so what's next, Andrew?
I think this is just a reminder about the official regulations, and that's the link.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's got that.
Oh, yep, the official regulations, yep.
And then we're on to some of the pre-asked questions, just to make sure we tick them off.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so just again reiterating, so you are going to be self-sufficient from the Sunday morning, the first day, stage 1, up until the Friday after the marathon, and then that evening you will be provided with food. And again, I would suggest you still take some sort of snacks, maybe for the last stage, which is the stage of the oh gosh, what is it? What's the stage called? The
charity stage.
I can't remember now. Charity, thank you. The charity race, yeah. So, or the charity walk. So, yeah, just take some snacks that day. Somebody said, have they reduced the calories? Because obviously it's going to be less self-sufficient days. Of course, the last day you no longer need to be self-sufficient. So they've brought it down to 12,000 calories in total over the 6 days, as opposed to 14,000 over the 7 days. But still, you need to have 2,000 calories per day, because you can be checked at any time. So make sure you don't take all your food the first 3 days and have nothing left over for the next 2 days, because if you get caught, you'll get caught.
So another question relating to food is, do people throw away or swap food along the course?
Absolutely.
Quick answer's a good answer. and just before we go,
you're not allowed to take food from anyone who's not a competitor.
Yep.
Yes,
So you
correct.
can't have any outside assistance, and so when you run through one of the small towns and you see a big Coca-Cola sign, you just turn the other way. But there's a fair amount of trading going on in the tents.
Yeah,
And
I must say, I didn't in our tent that we didn't have a lot of trading. I think we all just had almost just exactly 2,000 calories. I had my twisties. I think I gave in my tent one twisty per person, and I kept the rest. And because that was my salvation a couple of times. But yeah, look, yeah, there was a bit of trading certainly. Some people maybe take too much, so yeah.
And another question is not related to food, but it does sort of fit here a little bit. Is what's good to wear in the evenings or post run each day? Not sure how cold it will be, and worried about the weight of carrying clothes.
Mm. Well, I don't know, Andrew. I mean, I'll say what I did. Basically, I just had two set of clothes, one for running and one for the evening. When I finished my run, I went into the ladies' cubicle where I washed down, and I put on basically my tights, which is my skins, and then I put one of my traveling fit skirty tops, and then I had a very warm. It was from Mountain Designs, I think it is. But anyway, one of these adventure companies. I had one of those that is very light and very, very warm. And I also had a scarf. Sorry, it wasn't a scarf. It was one of those, what do they call them?
A buff.
Thank you, the buff. Had a buff, beanie, did I have gloves? Yes, I did have gloves as well. So, yeah. So that's what I had. And then when it got really, really cold, you just grab your sleeping bag and just pull it over you if you're still outside or whatever. But seriously, we all go to bed fairly early. As soon as it gets dark, everybody's ready to crash. So yeah, that's what I did anyway. I don't know about you, Andrew.
Well, I had significantly less.
Yeah, but I get cold. You don't.
Yeah, so that's the sort of thing that you'll need to sort out on the first night in camp. Typically, the weather's going to be reasonably constant throughout, so you'll get a fair idea the first night what it's going to be like. I just used a very lightweight. I mean, the total weight of my non-running gear was probably 150 grams, and that was just cut down wind shell and a cut down pair of Go Light pants. And I think I made my own sandals, and there was 16 grams of EVA foam, which lasted precisely 6¼ days. And yeah, the main thing is that there really is not much to do at night. So as soon as it gets dark and it starts getting cold, you're in your sleeping bag. So I actually considered my sleeping bag part of my kit. And if you've got to run out to the toilet in the middle of the night, well, you just run out and run back again and jump in bed.
Yep. What meals will be provided by the organisers? Okay, so basically, when you leave the hotel in Ouazzazate, you're basically provided with the dinner on the Friday night at the bivouac, and then breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the Saturday pre-race day, and then you're self-sufficient, and then you get fed again the evening after the marathon from then on. Except, as I said, on the charity walk, where you should just provide your own little snacks. And then, that's the other thing, it came up as well. It was the lunch. So there's also a lunch box that you will be given to take with you after the race, because obviously the bus ride can be anything between, I don't know, say 2.5 and 4 hours, depending where we are. But yeah, so there'll be a lunch box. It's not a lot of food in there, but it'll get you to the hotel.
So I just got a bit confused there, Romo. Do we know when the marathon stage is?
The marathon stage is, yeah, that's on the
Friday.
Marathon is on the Friday. Thank you.
Okay.
So marathon stage on the Friday, yes, which is day 6. And says what is happening on the last stage of the race. I think we pretty much covered that. Basically, yeah, it'll be a charity walk. And the other thing is, I don't know if I mentioned this, but some of the runners, they're bringing family and friends, and some of them, what they could have done is actually bought a package through some travel company in France, where they can meet up with their loved ones after the marathon, and obviously they can't sleep in their tents, but they can be there. They have dinner with them after the marathon, and then the next morning they have breakfast, and then they do the walk with them to get them across the finish line. So that's what's really happening on that last day. Also around, I've got some notes here about when they're also going to be giving out medals after that day. Where is it? I think it's around 4 or 5 o'clock. Oh no, sorry, I do beg your pardon. On stage 5, which is the marathon leg, and at around 4 to 5 p.m., that's when they're going to be giving out the prizes and the awards alongside the finish line. So the last competitors can carry on crossing the line while the prizes are being given out. So sorry about that. Yeah, so that's right. So the prize are going to be given out on the marathon, after the marathon leg. How many calories? Yep, we just mentioned that. So basically, 2,000 calories per day over 6 days, totaling 12,000 calories. Show the breakdown of calories per day. Again, I mentioned that briefly. Just, if you can just write down, type on a piece of paper, what sort of food types you're going to be taking, and next to them write how much calories, and then total it per day. So that when you do, you do go through administration. What they did with mine is they just checked my list, and they just said, yep, fine, they ticked it, and off I went. So there's just, I guess it saves a lot of delay and hanging around and them checking what you've got in there and making sure you've got your 2,000 calories per day. It's just going to make it a lot easier for them and for yourself.
Marimaka, or you, Andrew, could you just confirm that the marathon stage is after the long stage?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. There's another question that came through. Thank you.
Yeah. So Andrew, do you want to tell them what the stages are again, just to make it clear?
They like to call the first 3 stages liaison stages for some reason. So the first 3 stages, 28 to 43 kilometers, the long stage, or they sometimes call it the non-stop, and then the marathon stage.
Okay, so this is the some of our runners, I believe, probably forgot to pick up to buy things, and because of last minute, the ship from France to Morocco didn't actually get. Sorry, they missed that ship. So what I'm saying to people is, if there's anything they need to buy from the MDS shop, I do suggest that they line up at least 30 minutes before the door opens or the tent opens. Look, I don't know. I know it's on the Saturday when the shop will be opened. However, I'm not sure of the time, but we will confirm that once we are in Ouattazat.
Okay, Mario, there's a question for you. And how many calories per day are you planning to take this year, given that the suggestion that 2,000 was barely enough last year?
2,000 calories. No, it was fine. Look, I gave away my damn salt and vinegar chips to the children, and I wish I hadn't. And I think that's what made it. That's what got me in the end. So I'm going to keep my damn chips this time.
Well, I think the other thing that's come through is that Holly's going to carry a birthday cake for you as well, so I'm not sure how he's going to squeeze that in.
Excuse me, my birthday is not during MDS, so I'm happy for him to carry a cake for me. One of another guy that I know carried a bottle of red wine for me, a small bottle of red wine for my birthday. But anyway, my birthday doesn't land during MDS, so I'm okay. Although we do have a competitor who is going to be sharing a birthday on the 8th of April, Brett Foote. I don't think he's listening in. He's actually already on his way there. But anyway, so I don't know. Other than him, I don't know if there's anybody else. But anyway, I'll have to check that out.
Okay, so that was the end of the predetermined questions and content there. But then you've got the list to just talk about with some of the other questions that people had asked when they registered for the webinar. I've been checking them off. I know you've covered a lot of them, but there might be a couple still to do. And if anybody has got questions, if you just put them into a little box.
Oh, one thing I know, Andrew, that people are asking about taking the food from its original pack. So for example, the freeze-dried food, I know people are saying, I'm going to take it out of the, the bags because they're quite bulky, and put them into another bag, seal it, and then, put it on that sheet. I don't know about you, Andrew, but is it best to also have the label of the nutritional label, which actually spells out the calories?
Well, I mean, look, what I did, so I can only really say what passed when I did it, and I don't know whether they'll necessarily be consistent, but I can't see why they wouldn't. I didn't use pre-packaged meals. I made up all my own, but what I did was cut out the nutrition labels from the products that I used and just made up a mosaic sheet with all of them on there, and then I could cross-reference from my spreadsheet, which showed how many calories per meal, per item, back to that, and that was acceptable. They were quite happy with that.
Yeah, because
and I know most
people
do unpack the larger, sort of expedition meals and what have you. They do take them out of the big packets, unless they propose to reheat or rehydrate them in the packet.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of people asking now about pain-killing drugs and what's banned, and as I'm just scanning the next part of the question. Yeah, what's allowed or not allowed? And what do they provide?
I reckon if you're that bad, I think you just go to doc trotters, wouldn't you, Andrew?
I mean most people will take either sort of Panadol. I think most of the doctors would recommend against taking something like Voltaren or ibuprofen or one of the NSAIDs, because there's seems to be a bit of literature suggesting that it's not good for the kidneys when you're stressed and dehydrated. But Panadol and the various brands or different makes of Panadol are perfectly acceptable. Look, anything that's not, they do drug test some people, so anything that's not on the sort of international banned list is probably fine, provided you're not ill-advised to take it for other medical reasons.
Okay, hopefully
we have Greg Hunt, who's a pharmacist, so I don't know whether he's got any input in this. If you want to,
are you there, Greg? Have you got anything you'd like to add?
Pretty much what Andrew said was spot on. I mean, they don't like you taking the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories for the kidneys and also your stomach. So you don't want to get a bleed, or you don't want your kidneys shutting down in the middle of the desert when you're dehydrated. But paracetamol's fine. Codeine, the only problem with codeine is some countries don't like you taking codeine into their countries, so that would be more a travel issue. But I'm taking some Panadine, mainly more for a headache treatment if I'm dehydrated. But if it's worse than that for my body, then yeah, I'll be off to the doctor.
Yep.
Just suck up the pain.
Suck it up, princess. That's it.
I'll just take extra food. That'll comfort me more.
I tell you what, twisties do the job. Twisties are unreal.
I won't survive on 2,000 calories.
No, I know. You're too big, Greg. You're going to have to eat more than that. No, Greg's not fat. He's just tall.
Well saved.
Okay, what else you got there, Marima?
What else have I got? Somebody else asked about how much money they should take. Obviously, when you're out camping, forget it. There's nothing to buy out there. Look, I don't know. It's between 50, maximum $100 a day. I mean, you're not going to be spending a whole lot of money in Ouazzazate. Obviously, you're traveling further afield. Well, there are ATMs. And I've used ATMs before when I was at Marrakesh. So it's so there is money available if you need it, but I wouldn't take more than say $50 to $100 a day outside of the MDS days, obviously. And other than that, what else have we got? About a link about how family and friends can follow you. The funny thing is, I think Michael knows this better than me because he was the one that followed me the whole way. But I don't know if he wants to. Hold on, he's looking it up now. But there is.
They released the link on the first day. when everyone's in
Oh,
camp.
they do. Oh, okay, yep.
That it's opened on the normal website, darbarood.com, or whatever the other aliases they have for that now.
Yeah.
And as long as the people at home have your name and your bib number, it'll get through. You can't. They won't accept any attachments or images, so it's text only. So if you want someone to send you a Sudoku, just agree on the code, that the numbers across the top and down, or crosswords or whatever. Just agree on a code that your friends can do it all in text. And then at about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock each evening, someone comes around to each tent with a fistload of paper and hands out all of the email they print everything out and they hand out all the emails to people in the tents.
Yeah, just to jump in if I could, this is Michael Walton speaking, Marimar's husband. I followed Marimar quite closely last year when she was running, and in order to be able to keep in touch, I simply jumped onto the MDS website, exactly as Andrew was saying, and all the links to follow your chosen competitor or multiple competitors are all there if you need them. You can follow them through the checkpoints. You can get onto the webcam and watch them finish, and sending messages to people is really, really simple to do. So there should be no issue for anybody at home who wants to watch. You basically just hop on the website and follow the links.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I just want to mention quickly, there were a couple of days that the systems went down. As you can appreciate, we're in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and some people were getting a little bit funny towards the end, thinking, what's the problem, what's the hold up? But I guess, just be realistic. We are in the middle of nowhere. The fact that we are able to get emails from loved ones, we should be very grateful. So look, I'm sure we'll all be fine. But just to let you know, look, the systems may be down, maybe a day or so. But they do okay out there. I think the fact that we can get emails from friends is is pretty special.
Okay, well, we're coming up towards the end of the hour, and I don't want to cut people off if the questions are still unanswered or unasked. So if anyone's got anything else that we haven't covered, just while you're scanning, I think you're scanning the list there, Marimar.
Yeah, just one last thing, and this is more, I guess, a tip, is that, I know we all get, I guess, very nervous. We get very anxious, especially for those who have never done this sort of thing before. But look, I can guarantee you that when you get there, everything will just fall into place, and everything will just, all your questions will be answered. Before I left last year, I was very, very nervous and very anxious, and just because I had so many questions, and I'm thinking, gosh, I still don't know the answers to these things, but it's okay. It'll be fine. There's going to be a group of us. I've done it before. There's a few people who've done this race before, and you are in good hands. So rest assured that we'll be looking after each and every one of you. So don't panic. Everything will be fine. And also, the one last thing, once we are in Ouazzazate, I'm happy to have a last-minute briefing for anybody who would like to do so, maybe at the hotel. The best day would probably be Thursday, the 4th of April. Again, it's just last-minute questions, if anybody has any, and I'm sure they may do. But anyway, again, we'll mention that on the on Facebook and also on our personal emails.
So the comment here from Hully just suggesting people got to pace it, take it easy for the first few stages, and set it up for the week. And I think that's the last of the comments there. So Andrew, have you got anything else that you'd like to say at this point?
No, look, I think we've covered an awful lot in the forum, and it's probably a good thing if you've got nothing else to do at the airport before you leave. Just take another quick scan through the forum. Ouazzazate is not an outback town. There's web cafes and all sorts of things there. It really is an extraordinarily well organized event. Everything's there that you need. You just need to be patient. That's the thing. You'll be lining up for meals in camp. You'll be lining up to send emails or to make phone calls from the telecommunications tents in the middle of the desert. As Marimar said, just accept the fact that you're doing something absolutely amazing. You're going to be sitting there at a desk looking out across the desert, typing out an email. It's an amazing experience, but don't get too upset if someone jumps in front of you and make a fuss about it. Just sort of let them do it. You'll be standing in line if you have the misfortune of going to the doctors, and you'll be standing around waiting at each morning after your tent's vanished until the start of the stage. But look, they're minor inconveniences. The Sahara is a remarkably beautiful place. Anybody who comes away from it without, I won't say you'll be changed, but without a new appreciation of just what is beautiful in life and what is fun and what you can actually achieve if you try. If you don't come away with that, then I think you must have been at a different event, because the French, for all of their sort of sticklishness, if that's the word, sort of sticking to the rules and some strange rules, they do put on a fantastic show. You really don't have to worry about your safety. There are doctors at every checkpoint. The course is well marked. It's just a fantastic opportunity to be in this wild environment. With a subtle but extremely effective security presence, which means that you will be well looked after. And if you do have some misfortune out there, then again, everything's in place to make sure that you're safe. And if you're well and running well and having fun, then it will be it won't interfere with you. It'll just sort of sit in the background and be there. The most important thing to understand about is probably from here on, 70 to 80% of what you get out of it is in your head. And do whatever you can to make sure that your tent is a fun place, harmonious, you help each other, you cheer each other on, you crack jokes, whatever. Judging from what's been going on in the forum to date, I have no doubt that will happen. There seems to be a remarkably lively bunch with a great sense of humour. There's certainly a couple of people who've been in the forum who I would love to have as tent mates, so if you're fortunate enough to have one or other of them, you're bound to have a good time. But yeah, just be patient, smile a lot, and keep your head in the right space, and your feet will follow you home. And have a great time.
Thanks, Andrew. That's great.
Well,
can I just mention one last tip? Sorry, just one last tip. Sorry, only being because just so everybody knows, please, if you can, do take everything you're going to be taking on race day. Please take it with you as carry-on luggage, not as check-in luggage. We had one guy who lost absolutely everything, and he basically had to find shoes, he had to find food, he had to find everything. So please do take it on as carry-on luggage. I know it's a pain because it's heavy and it's bulky and whatnot. Just take it, trust me, because if you don't get it at the other end, you are not going to be a happy person. And that's it, really, I believe. But yeah, look, thank you once again to Andrew Cohen. He's been absolutely fantastic, and without him, I couldn't have done it without him. So much appreciated, and I look forward to meeting each and every one of you in Ouazzazate, and yeah, and seeing everybody come across the finish line. And also to you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew O'Brien. Thank you very much for putting this on, and it is. Yeah, go on.
I just have a question here. Sorry.
Oh, okay, go on.
G'day, Richard. Did you have a question?
Yeah, g'day, guys. I think this is probably more a question for Andrew. One of the challenges I've got, I'm really kind of challenged around what clothing to take. And I know you've gone minimalistic, and Marimar's kind of talking about long trousers. But realistically, what kind of weather can we expect? I know kind of like the wind will whip up, and we've been. I think Tyrex suits are seem to be a bit of a staple that people to take. But is it essential to kind of have some long pants or a Tyrex suit, or basically just kind of something that's going to keep the wind out and kind of keep the elements out? What are your thoughts on that?
The main thing is the wind. So I would certainly make sure I've got a wind shell of some sort. The Tyvek suits do tend to rip, so be very careful with them. I went for the Go-Lite wind shells because they're roughly the same weight but far more robust fabric, and in fact I've worn the same top and bottom through 3 MDSs and the track in 2011, so it's lasted whatever that is, 6, 12, 18, nearly 30 days and put up with all sorts of indignities. The coldest time is the morning, and there's no two ways about it. Your tent gets taken away. If you're lucky, you're left with your carpet to sit on. Until the sun gets up and starts to warm things up, it can be miserably cold. And really, there's not a lot you can do about it, because I think you'll probably end up carrying too much gear if you try to equip yourself for that. The best you can do is jump up and down, or try and find the tallest dune and stand on top of it until the sun hits you. But night times, honestly, consider your sleeping bag as part of your clothing. And if you've got a good wind shell, I was too hot more than too cold once I was in my sleeping bag. It was rare that I was actually chilly at night. And for an hour in the morning between about sort of 6:30 and 7:30 while you're having your breakfast and sitting there without a tent, that's sort of the coldest time. But if you can put up with that, then very light gear, I think, is pretty much adequate for the rest of the time outside of running.
And Andrew, there's a question here about where do you get a Go Light suit? Is that something you can help with?
Where do you get Go Light? It's a good question. I got mine through Area 51 in Queensland, adventure race bunch. I think you could probably get it through one of the ultralight, like I can't think what they're called. There's one in Melbourne, Backpacking Light or something. I'm sure they would have it as well. But what I did is all of these things, when you buy them, they're over-equipped. They've got sort of elasticated wrist and waist and what have you, and my wife's pretty handy with a sewing machine, so we just pulled all of that off, and she just zigzag stitched around it. So again, we were just ripped weight out of absolutely everything. Probably took 150 grams out of a 500-gram backpack simply by cutting off all of the unneeded straps and the unneeded clips and bits of plastic and what have you on it. So if you've got anyone who's capable with a sewing machine, you take a look at your gear very, very carefully and see what you can chop off. But Go Light, I'm pretty sure Area 51 still have it, and even Paddy Palin will probably have some of it.
Okay, thank you very much. So Momo, unless you've got any more to say, I think people are starting to
I'm done.
move on.
Yep, it's getting, late. Yep.
We have recorded this, and having listened to it, and what I think in the main, this has been very much a listening to program. So as well as the video, I think we'll rip off an audio file, so people who like to download podcasts and things like that can actually take the audio and listen to it. Or those who weren't here able to tune in tonight might just want to listen to the audio, on their phone, on their car, or wherever they do that. So that'll help as well. All right. Going once.
Great. Well, thank you, Andrew. Thank you,
okay,
thank
welcome.
you, Andrews, to both of you.
I'll be watching everyone. I'll be sitting here glued to my computer watching the finish line. So have a great time, everyone.
Yeah, thanks,
okay.
Andrew. We'll be thinking of you while you're on the watching, having a beer. Very good.
Okay, thanks, folks.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, thanks so much. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. See you.
Bye.